Hello and welcome to Just a Minute with Janet. Today I'm going to talk to you about the government budget, which was delivered yesterday, Thursday 16th of May 2013. It's been called the bland budget because ultimately it didn't really rock anybody's world. It's not an election year and so no real goodies were handed out to New Zealanders. Background to the budget is simple. The GFC and the Canterbury earthquakes have left our government with a large deficit which it wants to clean up. This government budget has had that as one of its main objectives, balancing the books by June 2015. In addition, it wants to build up the economic growth of New Zealand, increase jobs and bring debt down to 20% of our country's GDP by 2020. Under the budget, New Zealand's economy is forecasted to grow on average between 2 and 3% annually over the next 4 years. This growth is expected to come from low interest rates, increased activity from the Canterbury rebuild, strong commodity export prices, and external parties demanding New Zealand's goods and services. That's all good news because the spending the government is going to do has to come from somewhere. One of those somewhere places will be the proposed sale of Meridian Energy. The government was very successful selling 49% of Mighty River Power. It made around $1.5 billion from this, and it has in part used these funds to further assist in the rebuild of Christchurch. The success of the Mighty River Power float has encouraged the government towards considering selling Meridian Energy, so expect more commentary about this in the second half of this year. You might also watch this space for comments in regards to the proposed sale of Crown holdings in Air New Zealand, Genesis Energy and Solid Energy. Despite being hailed as a bland budget, it's aimed at being stimulus in nature. The government has tried to bring this about by different measures. For instance, it's intending to reduce ACC levies on households and businesses up to the tune of around $300 million in the 2014 and 2015 year, increasing to around $1 billion in the 2015-2016 year. This would kind of act like a tax cut for households and businesses, thus giving some relief in direct costs. There's also intended a tinkering with research and development laws with the aim of making R&D costs immediately refundable up to a certain level. At present, the losses these costs produce must be held until such time as a company produces a profit. This can deter companies from investing in innovation, thus limiting our economic growth. In an attempt to remedy this, new laws are proposed so as to encourage innovation within the economy. Under the budget, the government is giving $158 million to tourism in the hope this spending will attract tourists into our country, which of course is expected to have the result of boosting our economy. It's also going to channel $900 million into education programs for early childhood, primary and secondary education, so we grow the brains of future New Zealand generations and make our economy stronger for it. The health sector fares well too, under the budget, receiving $1.6 billion, which will be pushed into new health incentives and used to meet health costs arising from a growing population. We need to keep our people fit and healthy because ultimately an unhealthy population drags our economic sustainability and growth downwards. Finally, low-income families are going to get some help, with $100 million being moved into important initiatives to help in areas such as housing and budgeting. Of course, funds have to come from somewhere, and in this respect, the budget saw the government give an extra $7 million to the IRD for it to use to look at, in particular, land transactions. This is to ensure taxpayers are being compliant. In this respect, you should know the government are intending to introduce legislation around matters such as the dates of acquisition and the intentions to make a profit from land transactions. Don't get caught in this area. Ensure you obtain qualified structuring and tax advice before you undertake any property transaction. No one wants a fight with the IRD, and the way to avoid this is to have a suitable structure in place and know your obligations before you start buying and selling properties. So what does the budget overall mean for you? Well, if you're in tourism, education, welfare, or the health sector, you're going to get a bit of a boost. And probably you'll see more jobs being offered due to the government's intended budget spending. If you're in business, you're going to get some relief from ACC levies and immediate tax refunds on R&D. That should boost business confidence and hopefully a loosening of purse strings and an opening of wallets, maybe leading to more investment, employment and capital expenditure on a business's part. If you're unemployed, your opportunities of getting work in any of the industries I've just spoken about have just increased. And finally, if you're involved in property dealings, be warned. The chances of your affairs being reviewed have just increased, and you need to ensure you are absolutely tax compliant. If we can help you in any of the matters I've talked about today, just call us. I'm Janet Zuccola, partner of Gilligan Rowe and Associates, a firm dedicated to helping its clients grow and protect their wealth. Thanks for taking just a minute. Talk soon.